A session that we named Motivation early in our planning, but has been upgraded to Passion, Purpose, and Prosperity. Even more enticing. I think that Maya may have taken a few marketing classes. I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Maya Manseau. After losing her 23-year-old daughter to leukemia, Maya kept asking herself, why was she still here? And what was her purpose? Maya began a very intentional way of life to bring peace to herself and others, which she wrote about in her book, Living Intentionally After Loss, 8 Steps to Reclaiming Your Passion and Purpose. Now guiding those seeking to ease their grief and unearth their profound purpose, Maya intertwines intuition, timeless wisdom, and actionable lessons, empowering every soul to transcend boundaries, find clarity, and build a fulfilling, prosperous life. Maya asks, do you feel like there is more to life than the way it is now? Do you want to do something that you love to create the life that you've always dreamed about? Want to find that missing piece that keeps eluding you? This session will show you the simple formula for creating a small business using your passion and purpose with long-term success. Together, we'll walk the path where passion, purpose, and prosperity intertwine, ensuring you live every day fueled by meaning and driven by impact. Passion, purpose, and prosperity. Maya Manseau.
That felt really heavy, huh? All right. I'm going to ask you to participate with me for just a couple minutes, right? I want you to raise your hand to keep it up if you have bills to pay. I want you to keep your hand up if you have to work to earn a living. Good for you. Keep your hand up if you love what you do. Keep your hand up if you feel like what you do to earn your living is your purpose in life and that you have the impact that you want to be having on people. That's awesome. I think for a lot of people, thank you, you can put your hands down. I think that for a lot of people, life often takes us down a road. And we start off thinking we're gonna go here, and life kind of gets us off course at different points. And there are times in our lives that we kind of get a wake-up call. And for me, it was when my 23-year-old daughter passed. I lost her to leukemia. She was 23, she was my business partner. She had just gotten married. She died like a week short of her 6-month wedding anniversary, and she had wanted to have a family. We worked together, so I was expecting to have this life of being in an office every day with my daughter, with my grandbabies on my knees as she got to that point, and life was going to be magical. She died the day before my 30th wedding anniversary, after 3 months of being ill. And life completely stopped for me. And I had to, at that point, reevaluate everything. And as the case with many couples who lose children, about 15 months later, my husband and I, of over 30 years split. And I became completely focused on, why am I here? Why do I wake up every day when she does not? Like, that just felt so ultimately unfair to me. And what it forced me to do is to look inside for that answer, because it's not out here. It is not in the voices of everyone who wanted to comfort me in my grief, saying things that just triggered me. She's in a better place. I have words that I won't repeat here in response to that, but so many people like get over her death, move on, find something. And it doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. So what I did was I started to try and find peace. Like, what does peace look like when I have no peace anywhere that I look? And I came to redefine peace for myself as being the internal state of being when you can find contentment, joy, and meaningful connection regardless of your circumstances. Because I can't change the circumstance that my daughter died. That will be with me for the rest of my life. But as I tried to figure out and succeeded in finding that contentment, the joy, and the connection, I started helping others, because grief is something we don't talk about as a society, right? We all want to avoid it if at all possible. And I would go to the grocery store, and I would run into the parents of the other kids that she had grown up with, and if they thought I hadn't seen them yet, they would avoid me. Because what do you do when you walk up and you say, "Hi, how are you today?" Well, they already knew the answer, and it was, I got very comfortable crying in public a lot, because that's where I was at, right? So I spent the next probably 5 years after she died really, what does contentment mean to me at a very deep level? What does joy mean to me? And what does meaningful connection mean to me, right? And so I decided meaningful connection to me was to help other people who were suffering as I had suffered. And so now what I do is I help people find their sacred purpose using tools that I had used to find my purpose. And that helps them reclaim their purpose, reclaim their passion. And then if they want to take that purpose and passion and make it into a small business or find a job that is fueled by those, I can help them with prosperity. What I'm going to talk to you today is if you wanted to start your own business, this is the model, okay? And apparently, there's a lot of P's in my presentation, because we're talking about passion, purpose, and prosperity, but I'm about to talk to you about the problem, the passion, and the plan of action. Because those are the things that you need to create long-term success in a small business. All right, I'm going to start with the problem. I want you to think about your life, and I want you to think about a problem that you have solved for yourself or for others. And I want you to be very specific about this problem, in that it has to be a human need, like a basic human need. Right? Is anybody willing to throw out a problem that they know how to solve? Go ahead.
I've got a really trivial one.
That's okay.
My teenager has really stinky shoes.
Yep.
And the way we solved it, we got a air dryer and put the shoes
Yep.
on that. So that's a.
Would you have been willing to pay someone else to solve that if you couldn't figure it out?
No, because I can throw the shoes away. I mean, there are a lot of options.
Yeah. So that would not make a good business. If you're not willing to pay someone else to solve it, or if there aren't people who are willing to pay you to solve it, that's called a hobby, not a business.
Got it.
Right? Because if you want to be prosperous, there has to be some sort of exchange of money. Right? I'm going to talk to you. So the business that I owned with my daughter was a photography business. And this is the book all about, if you know anybody who wants to be a photographer, you're more than welcome to have a book. So I used to have the corporate job with the corner office and the great salary and the 40 people reporting to me and all the responsibility I could ever want. And it was physically making me ill because of the stress level. I had just lost my dad, and my mother-in-law was terminally ill. And at the time, my girls were I think, 12 and 14. And I thought, life is crazy. I have an opportunity here to continue down this path, and I know where that's gonna end, or I can make a change. And I thought, if I could do anything, if I could tap into my inner dreamer and say, what in the world could I do that would earn me money that I would love? I picked wedding photography, and can I just say, in hindsight, it is wonderful, but it's a lot of work, right? But I thought, I had photographed a couple of family weddings. I loved the concept of being part of telling that story and capturing all those moments. And I thought, if I'm ever gonna do anything in photography that's gonna pay me, weddings. Because people hire photographers to photograph their weddings, right? So I got half a booth at a bridal show. I did a bunch of research. I took my 2 weddings and I went there and I told every bride that we talked to that I'm brand new in business. I can guarantee you that I can do this for you, so on and so forth. I booked 10 weddings out of that half a booth at a bridal show. But it was a need, an urgent need that they needed to take action on, right? So the problem I refer to as the who and the what of your business, right? The what is the problem that you solve. The who is who has that problem. Now, a lot of business coaches out there will tell you, go create an avatar for your business, that symbolic person who needs your stuff. And a lot of times people will go, I serve women between 35 and 60 who want to improve their lives and have this transformation, right? Yes, but of that big set, for wedding photography, I only solved the ones who were getting married, right? The more specific you can be about the who and the what, and the more it is a human problem that they're willing to pay you for, the better you're gonna have long-term success. Does that make sense? All right. The next part is passion. And this is your joy for solving the problem. If you do not love solving that problem, or you do not love who you solve that problem for, you are not going to be successful. The best example that I use of this is daycares, right? There's parents. There's always parents who need to put their children in care, right? That's an easy problem. I know I'm going to make money. If I don't like children, how long do you think that will last? Right? Because if I hate children, then I'm going to hate my job and I'm going to burn out. But more importantly, they're going to hate being there because they know that you don't like this business. So you've got to make sure that these 2 things are in alignment, right? Now to take it to the next level, so the passion, this is your why, which we talked about, which others talked about at other presentations earlier today, right? If solving this problem is something that you could learn about every day for the rest of your life to do it better, provide more value to the people you're serving, then you're in alignment. You've got a great start. With me so far? All right. The third part is the plan of action. And this is the where, the when, and the how. Now, the when of it is really important. Are you a morning person or are you a night person? Do you want a 9-to-5 job, or are you willing to work nights and weekends? As a wedding photographer, nights and weekends, because they want to meet with you during the evenings, during the week to talk about their plans and all of that, and then the weddings are on the weekends. If that schedule didn't fit my life, that's not the job for me, right? Everything has to be in alignment. The where, to some degree, is probably the lesser of these, but you do need to think about Where are you going to do all your paperwork? Because owning a business, there's paperwork. Where are you going to meet with your clients? Where do you create? Whatever it is that you create, where do you create, right? You need to think about these things. But the biggest part of this is the how. And I really want to spend a little bit of time on the how. At the end of the day, the how is how you create meaningful connection, right? The goal of a business should be, how do I add value to the lives of the people I'm helping, right? And I'm gonna go back to my photography business. They came to me because they wanted great pictures of their wedding day, right? That's what they were asking of me. Now, what I offered them was great pictures of their wedding day, and as we would talk about their wedding in advance, I'd be like, so, you know, I do weddings every weekend, and here's kind of some things you need to think about. Where are you getting ready? What are the times that you've given all the individual people? Things like, if you walk out of your wedding and you stop at the end of the aisle and your guests get to you, you now have a receiving line and you could lose 40 minutes. If that's what you want, fine, we just need to plan it in. But if you don't want to spend that time at that point of the day, then, you know, have a place to go. So they were like all of these amazing tips that I could help them with planning their wedding. They didn't come to me for that, but it was a huge value add to them. They got it for free, basically. The other thing about the how was, you know, I started doing weddings. I had 18 weddings that first summer. And I started noticing at every wedding, somebody's like, hey, who's got the scissors? Hey, do you have the comb? Right? So there's all of these little things, right? So every time I heard them say, hey, does somebody have? I put it in my camera bag for the next time. Mm-hmm. So I would carry in this camera bag combs, bobby pins, safety pins, sewing kits, scissors, mirrors. I would carry large umbrellas in my car because nobody thinks about rain on their wedding day, right? As I got better and as I started carrying all this stuff, all the couples were like, oh my God, you're like Mary Poppins. Like, we need it. And it's just like, here it is, right? The value that added in their day was tremendous, because what was going to be this upset because they didn't have something they needed, I mean, it cost me nothing to put this stuff in my camera bag and carry it, but the value it added, I actually booked weddings because I carried this stuff in my bag. And, you know, usually a bride is, or a couple is of the age with other people who are also going through the same things. And I would book a wedding from the wedding because I was a sense of calm in the storm of their day, right? So what the how here, what I tell people is, when you solve this initial problem, right, you pick the problem you're gonna go solve. What are all the other foundational pieces that will help them create a calm day, in my case? But it's like, you know, like now I'm helping people with finding their passion and their purpose and helping them build small businesses, right? I'm always thinking about what else do they need to know. And in fact, the program that I've come up with, it's not until step 8 out of 10 that we actually lay out what's their business name, what's their tagline, what are their products that they're offering. Because I help them look at what's important in their life. How do they want to feel as part of their business? How do they want their customers to feel as part of their business? Right? Because if you set those things first, you're going to make decisions differently about how you do the how. Does that make sense? Questions at all? Okay. Is there anybody in here who already owns a small business? How does this resonate with you in your own small business right now?
Well, it's, the business has changed a lot over the years, really, and it became much more about, much less about passion of my own, and much more about what was working for customers. So, so it's more about the problem and how, and the plan of action than it is about passion. But actually, I no longer work in the business,
Yeah.
so I have people that are more passionate than I am about the why.
But that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
If you're not passionate, that's gonna bleed through to the customers. So putting other people in those places makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It actually fits pretty well. I mean, it's not perfect, that's why I'm at Toastmasters. And trying to hone in and cultivate, something deeper and how I'm doing things. But yeah, I totally resonate with everything that you said.
Nice. Okay.
So I have a full-time job and my small business is really a passion-driven side hustle.
Yeah.
And it solves a clear problem. There is a plan of action, but it's whatever I have time for.
When you solve the problem for someone, what's the goal?
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. The word I use is contentment, right? But it has to be contentment for them, and it has to be contentment for you. You have to be happy about how you delivered. Like, again, I'm gonna go back to the daycare thing, right? If I'm making the kids and the parents happy and I'm making myself miserable, I'm still not in alignment with what I need to be doing. Does that make sense?
How does that fit into a technology-driven aspect? Because I can see contentment for service industry, but if you're building hardware, is there another word? Or
Well, so I'm pretty techie, right? I use a lot of hardware software. I'm gonna take it back to, were you at the presentation where he was talking about Simon Sinek and the why, right? Apple just approaches it differently. They lead with the why. And at the end of the day, whoever's using whatever your hardware is, they need to be content that it's doing its function, that it's worth what they paid for it. Do you know what I mean?
a value add?
Yeah. For me, it's all about the value you add, right? And if you can create contentment in the people who either use your service or use your product, then you've added value to their life. Passion is joy, right? Every time I think of this, I think of my two daughters who were born foodies, right? They came out of the womb loving food. The more expensive, the better to some degree. But have you ever, I want you to think back to a meal that you had at some point in your life that was just joyous. And then I want you to compare that to driving through McDonald's. Right? When the food is cooked with love and whoever cooked it is joyous about making the food is amazing, right? But if I eat at McDonald's at drive-thru, how much do you think they added joy into your meal? I don't even think Happy Meals are happy, but
I want to think about what's added.
yeah.
So it's like alive food versus dead food is really.
It is. And it's I went to this restaurant in Memphis. I was in Memphis on business, and they took us out to this restaurant, and the only thing that this restaurant served was a tasting menu. You either had a 5-course or a 7-course, depending on which day you went. You don't get to choose the food. It's chef prepared. And there's a wine pairing with it. So the chef is totally into his tasting menu. It changes seasonally. It's based on local ingredients. And the wine was amazing, and it was beautifully paired together. And that meal with those people in that place that was created out of such love and passion, like, I've talked about flying my daughter and son-in-law to Memphis just to go to this restaurant because it was such an overall experience.
It's like magical.
It was magical, right? If that's how we feel about what we do and how we help people, right? We're infusing joy into this situation and they will feel our joy. We will share our joy through it. And then our plan of action, this is connection. So if you, and actually, can you do it? Perfect. If you want to create a meaningful connection with your customers that is a long-term relationship, because I will tell you it is far easier to keep a customer than to find a new one, right? And the way you keep your customers is you create a meaningful connection that adds value in their lives. And then they stay loyal to your brand, and they will tell other people, and they will be your best word of mouth referrals to everyone that they know who has the same problem.
My oil company did that for me.
Yeah.
He was wearing a nice shirt and it said Honor America or something.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I like that shirt. And guess what? He left one on my door handle and it was the best shirt I have. And I wear that all the time on free advertisement. There's Winterwood Fuels on my back all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, go ahead.
2 weeks ago, I had to take my car into the dealership. It was just getting its tires changed, and they told me that I needed 4 brake jobs. So that was Monday. I got my car back on Friday. The next Monday, I had been run in by a Porsche had run into me a month and a half before. So I finally got a body work thing. So I took it in Monday morning. I walked back, which was miles. And I waited and I waited and waited. On Thursday, they told me that a part had come in and it was the wrong part, so they hadn't even started my body work. And he said, would you like to come and get the car? And I said, no, just leave it. And he said, but it's not going to be back for the weekend. I said, that's fine. I'll just keep walking. I'm getting my steps in, really good. So he said, you're the best customer we've had all week. And I said, I expect a certificate
Yeah.
when I come to pick up the car. So Monday morning, I walked my miles, got my car, and there was a certificate. It said I was the best customer ever. So I put it on social media, a picture of the clerk and me, with my, and it just got like everybody in the world has clicked on that and said, congratulations, Kathy. I'm sure you are the best customer, whatever. Like that, in the hashtag, they got a lot of publicity out of him making one little certificate, and when really and truly they had screwed up,
Okay, I'm getting the wrap it up. So, are there? It's all good. It's all good, Sherry. I have no sense of time, so the wrap it up's good. Does anybody have any quick questions before?
What's the orange star? Because I missed the beginning.
That is where passion, purpose, and prosperity aligns.
That's your business. Do you have a
That's
word
your
for
business. What?
it? Do you have one word for it?
For me, purpose.
Maya, can I allow the next presenter to come in and start to set up
Yes.
while you guys
Yes.
continue to
Yeah.
discuss?
Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up.